We want to welcome our viewers to another journey of the art settlers of New York. I am Rafaela Ronnie Billini, your host and co-founder and executive producer, and we are delighted to have our featured artist, Elsie Deliz, with us, who is having her third solo exhibit at M&N's Luisa Capetillo Gallery, located at the M&N El Barrio Firehouse Media Center, 175 East 104th Street, between Lexington and 3rd Avenues, in the heart of El Barrio, East Harlem, in Manhattan. Elsie Deliz is a Puerto Rican-born mixed media artist and jewelry designer. She gets her artistic influences from nature and the environment. Her use of mixed media techniques allow her to experiment and to create a variety of free-form art pieces. Elsie graduated from the High School of Art and Design and studied at the Fashion Institute of Technology here in Manhattan. She has participated in group exhibits in various New York City galleries and in Ponce, Puerto Rico. Presently, she is the artist in residence at the Red Oak in New York. She is a member of Taller Boricua's Rafael Tufino printmaking workshop, also known as RTPW, and the Puerto Rican Initiative for the Development of the Arts, aka PRIDA. We will have a conversation with Deliz about her life as an artist and her unique experience of finally getting to a destination that has at times overwhelmed her with the level of fame she has obtained in less than 1/3 of a decade. This is certainly due to her vivacious personality and determination to excel in her new career. But most importantly, she is the perfect example of the new buzzwords that 60 is the new 40. In Elsie's case, we shall say that 60 is the new 30. We celebrate her accomplishments and look forward to observing her growth in the top competitive field of art in New York City, particularly as an artist of color starting out in her 60s. Welcome, Elsie Deliz. I ask as a studio audience to give her a round of applause as she is seen on the Art Settlers of New York, on M&N, and around the world on mnn.org. Bienvenido, Elsie.
Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you for inviting me.
So we're going to have a little conversation with you, okay?
Yes.
And there's no need to feel nervous. The whole universe is going to see you online. So all is good, Elsie. So you were born in Isabela, Puerto Rico. Tell me about that experience. Were you a surfer as a child?
No, I'm afraid of the water.
You are?
No, not me.
No.
No,
So
no.
tell me when you left the island. How old were you?
When I left the island, I must have been like 8 or 9 years old.
Okay, and how was that experience?
I was kind of, well, I was attached to my grandmother. So my grandmother would go and visit us in Puerto Rico, since she lived here in New York. And every time she went to visit, I was like very attached to her. I love my grandmother. So on her last visit there, I told her, I'm going to New York with you.
Okay.
My mother was like, what? I said, yes, I'm leaving. I'm going with my grandmother. There you go. So I left, and I left my family there, and I came to New York with my grandmother.
At 9 years old.
I was 9.
Independent spirit
Yes,
from the very
I was
beginning.
like, oh no, I'm going with you. And she's like, oh.
So she was living in the Murray Hill section of Manhattan at the time,
Yes.
and that's where you went to school in Murray Hill?
I went to PS 106. That's on 33rd Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenue.
And how was that experience
It was,
coming from Puerto Rico? Did you know English?
I did not know anything.
Okay.
But at the end of, I think it was the 4th or 5th grade, I was excelling. I was ahead of anybody, all the children who were attending.
In all subjects, and did you learn English by then, or did you know?
Very fast. I did not have any, I had no problems whatsoever. I kind of mixed in with the students, with the, how could I say, with the ambience, and I had no problems.
All right, and
were
there other Puerto Rican children?
There was a couple of Puerto Rican children. Mainly there were like children from Their parents were either ambassadors or chancellors from the United Nations.
From the UN section.
Right.
Okay. All right.
So I experienced a lot of different cultures at the same time.
I'm sure that affected you in many ways.
It was a great time. It was great.
And so tell me about then going on to high school.
High School of Art and Design was the best time of my year.
What happened? How did that happen?
Well, I was always interested in fashion because my mother was a seamstress.
Okay.
And for us, it was like when we were teenagers, not even teenagers, 17, 18, or 19, we used to go out to clubs. So my mother used to make us our dresses. We used to go buy the fabric and have her make up,
So then at that time, your mother had already migrated to New York.
Yeah, right.
When did the family come over to New York?
They came like a year after I came.
They missed you?
Yeah.
You think so?
Well, I can't tell you the story why we came here, though. Why my family, my grandmother and my family came here. It was a funny story, but...
We'd like to hear about it.
It was because of my grandfather.
Oh,
my grandfather had a girlfriend, but he was married to my grandmother.
Okay.
So his girlfriend came to New York. So my grandfather, what he did is he packed his whole family and he came here after his girlfriend. When he arrived in New York, his girlfriend already had another boyfriend.
Karma.
So, we had to stay, they had to stay here.
Okay. And
otherwise, we would have been in Puerto Rico, okay?
You think so?
Yes.
Would you, had this not happened, do you think that if your mother wouldn't have come to New York, would you have returned to Puerto Rico?
I got used to living here, so I don't...
Do you visit Puerto Rico often, or?
Practically every year. And with Marcos, we go like maybe 3 times a year.
Okay, all right. So when you were in grammar school that you realized that you liked, were you sketching or what were you doing?
Yeah, when I was in, I believe, 5th grade, I had a Miss
10
Karen.
years old.
It was about 10, Miss Karen, we were doing a social study class, and she had us all reading the New York Times. And I was flipping the pages, and I see this beautiful ad from Lord & Taylor. It was a beautiful fashion illustration. And I'm there. I'm not paying attention to what she was, teaching us, and I'm there sketching this beautiful, copy and trying to simulate whatever I was seeing there. And I did a really good job, and the teacher's going around, and she goes, wow, you're doing a great job. She goes, you're going to be somebody when you grow up. And then she just kept walking around because I wasn't paying. But she didn't, no me reprimió.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I was like, wow, that was, it was like the moment.
Okay. And then what happened? What happened? That was in the 5th grade?
That was in the 5th grade. I
Right.
did like illustration. I come from a family of artists. My uncle is a great artist. My father's whole family were great artists in Puerto Rico. So I guess it was in me, but I didn't know. That was like the wake-up moment.
Right. So then because of that, how were you able to get into your high school, the High School of Art and Design?
Art and Design, you have to have good grades to go in there, and I had a portfolio.
So you started then building up your portfolio
there.
Of what, fashion designs?
Fashion, it was fashion design.
For women only, or were you also doing men?
No, I was doing women.
Women, okay. And what type of fashion would you sketch?
What do you mean more in terms?
And sports?
Evening. I was more into that evening wear.
Okay. At what point, when did you get into jewelry designing?
That came as a surprise. That came after. That came when after I graduated. I went into children's wear design. Okay, I worked for 6 months. I didn't like it. I used to work part-time at a store, boutique. And they always liked the way I did merchandising and the way my sense of color, they were saying, and style. And from there, they gave me a job, and I became an assistant buyer, sportswear buyer.
Was that after you?
After I graduated.
From not high school, but FIT, Fashion Institute of Technology. And there you majored in children's wear.
Children's wear, which I didn't like. I didn't care. No.
But why did you major in it?
Because I was like, I don't know, something told me, okay. It was pretty. I always wanted to dress little kids, but then once I went to work, I worked with Jordache jeans.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked there for a couple of months, close to a year, and then it was boring. It was doing the same. Yeah, it was like doing the same jacket in 20 different colors.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing there that was artistic. And then just one day I walked out and then I went back again. It was too boring for me.
But when you were, but then you, as an assistant buyer, what was you worked for a chain of boutiques?
It was a chain of boutiques, 18 stores in Manhattan.
And so you designed for those 18 stores, or you
No,
assisted in merchandising?
I went to the we went to the showrooms to buy merchandise for the stores.
Okay.
I became an assistant, and from the assistant, they promoted me to a buyer. Then I became an accessory buyer for all the stores, and it was very successful. As a matter of fact, at one point, the accessories were making more money. The accessories departments were making more money than the clothing department. And then from there, after it was a 9/11, things were very slow. So after a while, there was nothing. There was no work.
So you worked as a merchandiser for 25 years.
But fashion buyer and merchandiser.
What happened in your life personally during that time?
Well, I got married. I had children. I have 3 children.
Do you have any grandchildren?
I have 3 grandchildren.
How old?
My oldest one just became 17. My youngest one is 8, and her brother is 8, 10, and 17.
So during the 25 years, something happened at 9/11. What happened?
Well, after 9/11, people were afraid to shop. Businesses went down. A lot of stores started closing. People were getting laid off, right and left and right. No money to buy anything, and we got downsized really bad. They started closing stores, and then at that point, I said, I have to get out of this business, and I stayed home. I left the job, stayed home, and then I started making my own jewelry.
How did that start?
It started by accident. I was going to an event. It was an event. As a matter of fact, it was a fundraiser that Tito, ¿cómo se llama este? Oh my God, I forgot the name right now. It was a fundraiser for scholarships, and I had no earrings to match my outfit. And then I went to Lord & Taylor, I went to Berto Goodman, I went to Bloomingdale's, and nothing. There was nothing there. So I had a couple of earrings, so I just broke them and put them together. And when I got to the event, everybody was like raving about my earrings. I said, wow, this is interesting. Maybe I should start, doing my own business. And I did. And I went to several, showrooms. And then there was one lady that told me, if I give you an order of 10,000 earrings, could you have them in a month? And I said, I don't think so. I said, first, I don't have the money. Second, $10,000 10,000 pieces. I cannot do that, for myself. And I said, no. And then I just started doing one of a kind, which is something that I like. I don't like to be repeating the same designs 20 million times. So that's how I started. And from there on, one day I started walking around Madison Avenue, and I stopped at this really pretty boutique. It was a Japanese, very expensive boutique. And they practically took everything that I had, and they put it into their boutique.
Amazing, amazing.
And they sold everything that I had, even handbags. I designed handbags that were really quite pricey, and they sold them all.
So in 2015, you got divorced. But prior to that, right after 9/11, when you left, you did start doing after-school art classes.
Right.
From pre-K to 8th graders. How was that experience?
It was enjoyable. It was a great experience.
Were you able to keep their attention?
It was a little certain children with the 8th graders, you couldn't keep their attention. Pre-K, 1st grade, 2nd grade, they were fabulous. But the 8th graders, oh my God.
Yeah.
But
you had experience being a mother.
Of course.
Yeah, but you still couldn't keep.
No, the 8th graders were a handful.
So after your divorce, which turned out to be a good thing.
Right.
that led you back to where you feel that's where
Right.
you belonged?
When I got divorced, I felt free because for once in my life, I could go and do what I like to do. When I was divorced, I was kind of restrained. I
How
could
was
not do-
that?
Well, because my partner was not somebody that, would, he was never, ¿cómo se dice apoyar en inglés? He was never,
Didn't support you
he never supported what I did.
in art?
And whatever I did, he found something wrong. So in a way, he never encouraged me to do my art. It was always very negative.
And you certainly had the space in your house
Oh,
to
yes,
have
I-
had an art studio.
I had a studio, I had a huge house with everything, but wasn't what I wanted.
So this was in one of the New York suburbs,
Yeah, I guess.
Westchester County.
Yes,
Or?
I lived in Scarsdale, New York.
Okay, and then how was the experience coming back to Manhattan?
I always wanted to come back to Manhattan. I lived there for 17 or 18 years, and I never felt at home. My home was Manhattan.
Right.
This is where I feel like, wow, I'm alive. I'm
Uh-huh.
alive.
So you started out, returned to New York, and you moved to East Harlem.
Right, with Marcos.
Well, before that,
Before that, I moved to 106 in Lexington with Tanya. and
Okay.
Juan.
all right.
I lived there for a year. I was very happy, nice apartment.
Then you were your first mentor, Luis Cordero
Right.
from Prida. I mean, he introduced you to Nitza Tufino,
Correct.
and you were accepted into the Rafael Tufino printmaking workshop at Taller Boricua.
Correct.
And then you met who?
and then I met Marcos Dimas,
Okay.
my current partner,
All right.
my mentor. He's my
And he
biggest
is also,
mentor.
he's technically your third mentor, but he has introduced you. You started to paint and draw with him.
And he is, like I said, my mentor. He's my teacher. He guides me through, a lot of things that I don't know. Like Nitza in the taller, that's where I learned printmaking. I didn't know how to do that.
Right.
A lot of the techniques I learned it with the printmaking,
Right.
at the printmaking workshop. Eliezer, who is here, was my other mentor. With him, I learned a lot of techniques.
Eliezer Berrios from
Correct.
East Harlem, and also
Right.
from the
Right.
TPW workshop, yeah. And so how was that, getting into printmaking, that whole experience for you? Was that something that you found as interesting as what you were doing previously? Or
I like the printmaking, especially working with linoleum. It's kind of, I don't know, it's different. It's something different for me. I also do watercolor, and with the watercolor I also, how could I say, use it with my printmaking. So since I like to make unusual pieces.
yes, and we're going to talk about the exhibit that's here.
Correct.
And you decided to call the exhibit Adoration of the Magi.
Of the Magi. Adoración de
Speak to us about the importance of culture in your life, having come to New York, and the importance of culture as a Puerto Riqueña.
Well, as a Puerto Riqueña, since even I've been here for 30-something, maybe not 30-something, 50-something years, and I never lost that contact with my ancestors. Yo siempre me siento puertorriqueña. My culture is always first, and to me, it's something that I also, my children, ellos saben, they know about the Puerto Rican culture. I introduced them to the Puerto Rican
You taught them
culture.
Spanish.
Of course, even though my
That's
oldest
because-
one doesn't speak Spanish, but he understands it. My other two, they do speak it and they do understand it.
Do you find that that it's something difficult for a parent to teach a second language or a third language in the New York, like in a New York environment?
Well, like when my kids were growing up, I was always speaking to them in Spanish.
Okay.
And, how could I say, they do understand. My oldest one understands, but he cannot speak it. Now he's getting back into learning it. My daughter she is pretty much, she understands and she speaks it. She lives in Washington Heights, so she has a lot of Dominican friends.
Right.
So they're
right.
helping her.
Talk to us about this exhibit. Now we
Well-
understand why.
Well,
The adoration of
the Magi.
the
Because
Magi.
to me, Los Tres Reyes means so much. It's like reminds me of when I it was little in Puerto Rico, when Los Tres Reyes, I used to look forward to that day. I mean, my father and my mother would give us a little box, and we used to put the grass and put it under the bed.
Explain that. What do you mean?
It's kind of a,
What's
it's a
tradition? What tradition for our television
the
audience?
tradition is in Puerto Rico, what you do for Los Tres Reyes the day before is we used to go.
What's known as La Víspera.
La Víspera de los Reyes, get a little shoe box or whatever box we had, go get some grass for the camels, put it in the box, put it under the bed, and then the next day when you wake up, you have your gifts there, and then
under the bed or where?
I don't remember where my father and my mother used to put their gifts, but I do remember that one day. This is a funny one. We're all there looking. Okay, the camels came. They took the grass, and then all of a sudden we're looking out the window, and we see that grass. My father forgot. He took the grass and he threw it out the window. Oh. We're like, oh my God, what happened? The camels came, but what happened to the grass? The grass is here. That was like the wake up.
Is that the moment
when
a child realizes
that
there is no Santa Claus?
There's no Tres Reyes. The Tres Reyes is my parents.
Okay. So, and what about the Santa Claus?
I had a really bad experience in Puerto Rico with the Santa.
How so?
First time I saw Santa Claus, he came in this beautiful blue, with a blue car, and he's there, and he's all these gifts, and then he comes up. My friend was like, "Okay, we're gonna meet Santa Claus for the first time," and I'm like, "Who is Santa Claus?" I didn't know who Santa Claus was.
How old were you?
I must have been like maybe 6 years old. And then I see this guy with the red suit and his white beard, and he's like really big, and I started crying. I was like, no, I don't want to see him. He was like, no, I want my Reyes. This is not, I don't want Santa.
Good. So you ya sabía de Reyes.
Yes, that was like my moment. I did not want to know about Santa.
So talk to us like these images here. You were using recycled materials.
Cardboard. I have some recycled fabrics. Even the twine is recycled. Even the rooster here, if you see here, that was feathers that I had collected for about 8 years, and I didn't know what to do with them. And he's made out of feathers. This is all from beads and bottle caps. If you see them here, the bottle caps there. The sticks are, I think, popsicle sticks that I had done some kind of a chocolate, ¿cómo se dice? Paletas. This is all recycled fabrics and paper.
And all of these pieces are available, for sale. And they would be able to contact you if you could just repeat your email address. If any of our viewers would like to contact you, what address?
My email is edmixmedia@gmail.com.
Ed for Elsie Deliz. edmixmedia
@gmail.com.
And this exhibit is going to be up through January.
About January 20
Here located at MNN Luisa Capetillo Gallery. Now, this is interesting how you made these. They're camels.
Caballos. Puerto Rico son caballos.
Caballos.
They come in horses.
Right. Now, what you've done is you've also incorporated these images in your printmaking, correct? That we have an image, a beautiful print of the three kings.
The first one that I did was from the print shop.
Right.
One of the black and white ones that I did here was.
So that was, you could tell that was love.
That was the beginning of my three Reyes exhibition.
So what's going on right now? You've had 3 solo exhibits. The first one was at the Bronx Library Center. Right now, presently, you also have a solo exhibit at the San Juan Restaurant in New York City, which is on the corner of East 115th and 5th Avenue, and here at M&N.
Right.
Until when is the exhibit at the San Juan Restaurant going to be?
That's a group exhibition.
A group exhibition.
That I curated. That will be over at, I think, January 22nd or 23rd when I come back from Puerto Rico.
Yeah. So what else do you have planned for the rest of the year, for 2020?
2020, we have a group exhibition with the print shop members. I think it's
Okay.
March 5th, if I'm not wrong.
March 5th at
Yeah,
Taller Boricua.
Boricua, right.
Okay, located
La Julia de
at
Burgos.
1680 Lexington Avenue, March 5th. And then what else is happening next year?
I have other things in mind. I mean, I've been contacted by 2 other people about doing exhibitions, but that's like
Solo exhibitions?
not group exhibitions.
Okay,
But
all
it's
right.
something that's in the works.
Okay.
No definite, but it's in the works.
All right. Well, we are happy that you were able to be here. Congratulations. I know it's been, as I said, overwhelming. You've been blessed with a talent that you've been able to develop now. And we wish you the best in the upcoming years. And we'll be hearing more about Elsie Deliz. And we look forward to seeing your continued growth and success, Elsie. You have a great heart. You have a generous heart, as demonstrated even with your work with seniors.
Mm-hmm.
All right, especially at the Red Hook.
Red Oak.
Red Oak.
Right.
So thank you, Elsie, for being at the Art Settlers of New York, and I wish you well.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to your show.